For the first time in years, it finally feels like Manchester United are close to having the complete midfield. Partly because we know by now that Mainoo and Bruno Fernandes are here to stay. They will definitely be a huge part of our midfield moving forward. All we need now is the final piece of the puzzle to come in and complete this team and bring a balanced midfield to the Old Trafford pitch. So of course that is what we are going to discuss today. The sort of profile of midfielder that we need to get the best out of Mainoo, to get the best out of Bruno Fernandes, but also to get the best out of our new signing themselves. But of course, before we can figure out what we need to complete the midfield, we need to assess what we've currently got. So let's just quickly recap the strengths of Mainoo and Bruno Fernandes. So we'll start off with Mainoo. What are his strengths in possession? Well, to be honest, I think we know them all by now because we've covered it quite a lot. This is a press-resistant individual, someone who can play in the first phase under pressure. Also someone that retains the ball incredibly well. On top of that, Mainoo is a high-volume player. Someone that wants a lot of touches. I just think his teammates need to trust him more to allow him to have that high volume of touches on the ball. In terms of when he does actually get on the ball, Mainoo is a progressive passer. Someone who can move the ball forward through the lines, but also move the ball forward by carrying it through the middle of the pitch. Particularly on the dribble, I think he's an incredible dribbler. Mainoo is excellent in that department. And then lastly, his final strength on the ball is actually his goal output. In the last season, he has really added a goal threat to his game, and that came in very handy for United last season. When we talk about Bruno Fernandes, the skill set is of course very, very different. He's a completely different player and he plays a lot higher up the pitch. However, regardless of that, he is still a high volume midfielder. Last season, averaging 75 touches per game. This is someone who gets involved and has a lot of the ball. What does he look to do on the ball? Well, he is incredibly progressive. Bruno Fernandes' first thought is always, can I get the ball forward? And normally he can. His progressive passing is absolutely incredible, as is his creativity. For me, the best creative midfielder on the planet at this moment in time. And on top of that, he is also, like Mainoo, but to a further extent, a massive goal threat for Manchester United. So that is what we're working with currently in terms of what we've got on the ball.
So before we continue into the video, a quick shout out to today's video sponsor, jerseyfifa.com, the home of all of the greatest football kits. Whether that be the new latest releases or the old classic ones like this, Jersey FIFA has something for everyone, and now you can check it out yourself using the link in the description down below. And also make sure to use code JerseyFIFA for 10% off when you order.
If we now go back to the off-the-ball side of the game, again, these two are going to have slightly different strengths. We'll start off with Mainoo. What are his strengths out of possession? I would say his work rate, his willingness to work for his team, put the hard yards in, and just help his team in general out of possession. On top of that, also his ability to compete in ground duels. I don't think he's the best in the world, he's not a ball-winning midfielder, but he is pretty solid in those situations. And I also think he is pretty decent at his defensive screening, kind of sitting in front of the back four when United sit deep, shuffling across side to side across the pitch to protect his defenders. When we move on to Bruno Fernandes, we get something slightly different, but we can actually start off with a similarity, and that is the fact that once again, Bruno Fernandes works incredibly hard. But not only does he work hard, he takes it one step forward, he covers a lot of ground and is incredibly mobile. Once again, like Mainoo, he is good and strong in the duel, but also has great pressing intensity, a real ability to squeeze high and help his team win the ball high up the pitch. So if we now kind of take all of those strengths in possession and take a look at what we've got currently, you can see kind of roughly the sort of gaps that we are trying to fill in our midfield. And it's also the same if we now quickly switch to the out of possession. We can see where is shining, where Bruno is shining, but also perhaps where we need to try and fill some gaps. So that is the next question for Manchester United now. What do you need in terms of that new profile? Well, ideally, we need a profile that's going to come in and complete that kind of in-possession table, but also the out-of-possession table as well. Now, in terms of what that actually looks like, I think it's going to be easier to describe it and explain it by using the pitch on the screen here. And we'll start off with the in-possession. What do United need? For me, we do still need someone who is good in the first phase, someone who can take the ball under pressure and keep the ball for his side. So they do need to be press resistant in a sense. They don't need to be press resistant in the sense that they're going to receive with the back to goal and actually kind of turn, drop the shoulder and spin out of danger. I don't think United need that. But what United do need is someone that can actually keep the ball under pressure, be technically secure under pressure and complete passes in these situations as well. So I do still feel that United need that. Mainoo, of course, being the one who is given that license to drop a shoulder and turn, but this player definitely still needs to be secure on the ball in these areas. The other thing that we need from this player is actually just ball retention. The ability to kind of keep the ball ticking over in midfield. Again, Mainoo does this fairly well. His ball retention is actually extremely good, to be fair to him. But Bruno Fernandes, on the other hand, is quite forward thinking, shall we say. He quickly wants to get the ball forward. So to kind of make up for that, to bring us a balance, we do need a player who is going to keep the ball for his side and keep it safe. But also on top of that, I would like this to be a player who can carry the ball forward. Because Mainoo brings ball progression via dribbling, if you like, and an occasional burst of acceleration and kind of small body manipulations. What I would like alongside that is someone a bit more powerful, someone who can actually stride forward with the ball. So carry the ball forward rather than dribble the ball forward, which is what Kobe does. A ball carrying midfielder really would be ideal. If we could find those three things, I actually think it would give us a really nice balanced midfield. I think it's when we actually look at the off-the-ball stuff that we have slightly higher demands. There is a few boxes that this guy needs to tick, and it's not an easy job by any means. So what do we need from this midfielder? First of all, we do once again need work rate, but we need the ability to cover a lot of ground. Now, I know I've said that Bruno Fernandes does it, and he is incredibly mobile, but Mainoo, despite working hard, he's not a player who covers a lot of the pitch. He simply isn't. I don't know that he ever will be. Now, I think people go overboard on that a little bit at times. You know, he's defensively, he's not an awful player, but I don't know that he covers ground quickly, shall we say. So ideally we could do with someone alongside him who is going to cover large spaces but also dominate the small spaces as well. That would be perfect in this position. On top of that, someone that can go the other way and defend as well. Pressing intensity would be really useful. Again, I would say Bruno Fernandes is good here. Mainoo is okay here. To have another player who really shines in this area, pressing high to win the ball, would be literally perfect to complete this Manchester United midfield in terms of what they are doing off the ball. And then the other thing I would say on top of that is ideally they need to be tall. We do need a player who is 6 foot plus, in my opinion, partly because of the ability to win aerial duels. I've spoken about this quite a lot. We need someone who can win the ball in the air in midfield. Mainoo again does it at times, but not with any regularity. Bruno Fernandes does it, but it's by no means a strength. And we do have a defence which can be fairly weak in the air at times. We therefore need a midfielder which is going to win the ball in the air on a regular basis. That is absolutely essential. And then the other final thing would be simply the ability to kind of shuffle across in front of the defence. Mainoo is doing it already to an extent. We need to partner him with someone else who's going to do it. Because if we just have one player doing it, it becomes incredibly difficult. So let's get another midfielder in there who can shuffle side to side. And then overall, you're going to have a really nice balance. So just sort of to quickly recap, we need this new midfielder to be someone that is press resistant in the first phase. They need to be someone that can retain the ball for the side and also carry the ball forward. In terms of from a defensive point of view, if you like, what we need is ground coverage and mobility in the middle of the park, pressing intensity, aerial duel ability, which I think is really important, and then also defensive screening as well. If we do all of those things, we find a midfielder that can do all of that, tactically you are going to almost unlock this team, if you like, and particularly in the midfield, you're going to take the team to another level. And I think it's really going to help Mainoo and Bruno Fernandes for a couple of key reasons. The first reason being on the ball. If you get a midfielder here who is comfortable on the ball, happy to have a decent amount of touches, but can play under pressure and keep the ball ticking over, it reduces the need for Bruno Fernandes to drop deep so much. Of course, if we reduce the need for Bruno to drop, we are creating a more balanced team initially in terms of shape and structure, but we are also easing the burden on Bruno Fernandes. We're allowing him to stay higher up the pitch in creative areas, where we of course know how good he is. On top of this, I also feel that this sort of profile in midfield would also help Mainoo. And the reason for that is because it would give him more of a free role. There have been a lot of questions around Mainoo. Is he a 6 or is he an 8? I think it's wrong to lock him down to either of the two. Instead, give him the license to do both. And that is what this kind of new midfield profile could allow. Because it would give this freedom to Mainoo in his game. So absolutely, he can start high at times. He can get involved in the final third, show his quick feet in tight spaces, his goal threat in the final third, which we've seen, the occasional creativity. Because this player deep is comfortable on the ball and is retaining the ball for us. But also, of course, Mainoo is still given the license at times to drop deep. Let's say Dalot goes round on the overlap, the winger comes in. Mainoo can now get involved on the ball in a deeper position. Again, this is really nice from a balance point of view on the ball. In terms of off the ball, I think it's fairly obvious. Getting a midfielder which can press high is going to help Manchester United press high. Seems pretty obvious. Apologies, by the way, if you can hear a baby in the background. I do apologise for that. But a midfielder which can cover ground, can press with intensity, of course is going to help United off the ball. That aerial ability, again, is going to ease the burden on someone like Kobbie Mainoo, on Lisandro Martinez, or even on Luke Shaw, but also the other centre-back as well. Having someone who can win the ball in midfield is going to be absolutely crucial, but I really do feel as though it's that ground coverage, because we did not have it last season with Casemiro. So if we find a player who can tick all of these boxes, you can really make a really nice balanced midfield at Manchester United next season. The job now is to try and find that player. If you want a video where I do that, you know, using data, using the eye test as well, we can try and find a player who's going to tick all these boxes. It will probably be quite difficult, but I can think of a few options that, you know, could tick some of that criteria. So if you want that video, let me know in the comments down below. Apart from that, also let me know, do you agree with what I've said? Do you agree that this is the type of profile that we need in our midfield? Let me know what you think, but apart from that, we are finished for today. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.